With Black Ops 6 just around the corner, I thought it'd be fun to make a video where I go over my set of predictions for the game. And I'm going to do this in 3 sections. So I'm going to give 2 90% sure predictions, 2 50% sure predictions, and then finally 2 predictions that are about 10% sure. Pretty simple concept, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to kick this off with a bit of a bold take. I am 90% sure this game will have a revival in the zombies community. Okay, look, so a lot of people are pessimistic about this game, but it's been 4 years since we got a proper round-based zombies mode. And with that, the general community has really starved for content. Custom maps in the meantime have been great, and a lot of talented, amazing mappers have helped fill in that gap, not you. But at the end of the day, they're just for PC players and they're not a replacement for full new experiences from Treyarch. On top of that, despite what a lot of us classic fans prefer, MWZ was an incredibly popular mode. Amazing content creators like Donuts, who gained over 50,000 subscribers during that life cycle, prove that there is a massive player base interested enough in that mode to seek out content about it. And I do know that there's generally a dislike with how Liberty Falls looked at COD Next, but if you remember right before that, the community hype and excitement for the Terminus gameplay and trailers were hitting crazy highs. So the cycle of "we're so back" and "it's so over," in my opinion, is going to end with the "we're so back" side of the spectrum. I don't know, I just have a good feeling about it. Plus, with that Liberty Falls gameplay, a lot of it did look fun, and most of the map was removed for the players that were playing it, so there's still a lot to be seen. Now, another thing that I'm fairly certain of is that this new Gobblegum system is going to be widely considered the best out of all of them. This means better than BO3, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 4. A few months ago, I made a video talking about what I wanted to see inside of Black Ops 6, and while not everything looks to have hit the mark I wanted, one thing I did say is this: if Activision is willing to do this in a way that doesn't require players to spend a lot of real-life money just to get a backlog of fun and powerful gums, this will be an amazing thing for the gameplay and for the community. But the primary way of getting these has to be in-game. In a perfect world, there's like a salvage system, not requiring loot boxes or luck spins at all, but that's probably just a pipe dream. Now, from everything I have heard and seen about how these will function, it seems like this is the least scummy and microtransaction heavy system we have gotten. Gums are earned what appears to be the same way that Liquid Divinium was inside of Black Ops 3, which is exactly what I was hoping for but was not confident at all that we would get. Plus, the gums that are returning and the newer ones look to be a lot closer to the system we saw inside of Black Ops 3 versus the less powerful and honestly more boring version from Black Ops 4. So if the advertising is honest and correct, this should be fantastic. Now, getting into some of the coin toss predictions, I think it's actually about a 50-50 chance that Liberty Falls will end up being more played in the first couple of months of the game's lifecycle than Terminus. Now, Terminus could end up being an absolute S-tier map right at launch, and Liberty Falls could prove the Liberty Balls crowd right. But when you look at how COD typically functions when a new game comes out, almost always the simpler map on launch is considered more fun, and it's the main thing people want to hop on and mess around with. For example, Shadows of Evil, widely considered one of the best maps of all time, was overshadowed in playtime by most players for the Giant, and it was actually disliked by most of the community when it came out. BO2 had Town versus Transit. BO1 had Kino versus Vive. So if this trend holds, I think Liberty Balls might just be an unexpected fan favorite of the game, at least for a little while. Looking at the tails side of that coin, I think there's actually a pretty decent chance that the rumored Classic mode will not be in the game at launch, but added into the game about halfway through its cycle. This is basically because I don't think the rumors were entirely accurate. I think if this thing was already ready to go, there is no world Treyarch is not advertising it to drive early sales, especially with some of the community backlash it's been getting. But what I do think might be likely is that this Classic mode is in development and those files somehow made their way into the beta for a short time. Then the general community excitement for it could push Treyarch or Activision to work on a mode like that, even if it wasn't already in development. With that being said though, it could just be some leftover code from previous games, which isn't anything new to the franchise. Old modes or events will constantly show up in newer games' code and are rarely actually moved into the game, but that's the more boring outcome, so we'll just pray we get it. Alright, so these last set of predictions are my 10% chances, and they're more just gut feelings or something I maybe have a little bit of evidence for, but they're not super likely in my opinion. First up, I think there's about a 10% chance we get another Chronicle-style remaster after the game has completed its life cycle, and there's a couple reasons for this. The first one is we're getting a lot of older content ported into the Modern Warfare engine over time. Things like the VR-11 randomly being an MWZ, or the Jet Gun for some reason being the Liberty Falls Wonder Weapon, could imply that they are slowly setting up for remasters or actively working on them and then putting the assets to use in the meantime. The Zombies Classic mode rumor also feeds into this a little bit, because what if that leak wasn't referring to a single mode, but instead a remaster of classic maps that play like they used to? Honestly though, I kind of hope this doesn't happen. I think that the older maps wouldn't function that well inside of a Cold War Black Ops 6 type system, and would be better fit to something like the rumored BO2 remake for the next Call of Duty. Then if it does happen, I hope it's more of a Dark Aether twist on every map to fit the new lore, not just pure remasters. We've seen enough of that at this point. And then the final 10% chance prediction I have is that I think the community will get another Tim Hansen type of rise for a content creator. What do I mean by that? Well, during the time that Tim Hansen started to become so prominent, the community was in a little bit of a downturn and content drought, with a lot of the player base being a little bit disenchanted. But then he came in and started making content that people wanted to see right after the general sentiment of the mode was starting to turn back around, which led to a perfect storm to push him to be one of the biggest creators in the space. And with how I feel Black Ops 6 might end up having that community revival, all it takes is for one person to be making the right content at the right time to just explode. So who might this be? Well, my guess is going to be currently one of the mid to slightly larger size YouTubers in the community, someone like Stanley557, Donuts, or MCC. But only time will tell. And real quick before we close out, for those of you that are still here, I just want to say thanks for all the support recently. We hit 1,000 subscribers this week I'm recording this, and that's just insane to me. I have a lot of plans for Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I really hope you all will stick around. And just one more time, sincerely, thank you all amazing people so much for watching and subscribing, and I hope to see you around.